Tropicana.
A juice company spent $35 million redesigning its packaging.
They replaced Tropicana's original carton design that looked like this with a new design that looked like this, eliminating the orange and straw logo.
And within 46 days, had to throw all of it away.
Tropicana is switching back to its old orange and straw design, but will retain Arnell's orange screw cap.
By the time this disaster ended, Tropicana had burned through $50 million, watched their sales collapse by 20%, and handed millions of loyal customers straight to their competitors. All because one designer decided he knew better than the people actually buying the product. A Brooklyn kid who built one of advertising's most powerful agencies from nothing earned a reputation as a genuine visionary, and then, at the height of his career, designed a product that its own customers compared to a urine sample. This isn't just a branding story. It's the story of what happens when a brand decides that the very thing its customers love most, the icon they've trusted for decades, is exactly the thing that needs to go. And it's a lesson about just how deep the bond between a consumer and a logo can really run. This is the $50 million mistake, and how Tropicana killed its own brand. First, just how big was Tropicana? In 2008, Tropicana was the undisputed king of the American orange juice market. Roughly 30 to 35% market share, over $700 million in annual revenue from the pure premium line alone. A brand identity so consistent it had barely changed in decades, because it didn't need to. The packaging had one job, and it did that job every single morning in millions of American kitchens. Front and center, a bright orange with a drinking straw stuck directly into it. Tropicana written in bold horizontal lettering. Color-coded bands at the top so you could grab your low-pulp, high-calcium carton without ever reading a label. Tropicana was owned by PepsiCo, and by 2008, PepsiCo had a problem on its hands. Not with sales, with perception. Their legacy brands, Pepsi, Gatorade, Mountain Dew, Tropicana, were starting to feel dated to younger consumers. So PepsiCo launched what they called the Refresh Everything initiative, a $1.2 billion effort to modernize their entire portfolio simultaneously. The thinking was reasonable. The world had changed, the brands needed to catch up. For Tropicana specifically, the internal concern was that the packaging, largely unchanged for decades, looked old-fashioned next to newer, sleeker competitors. Simply Orange, owned by Coca-Cola, was growing fast with contemporary, minimalist packaging. Private label store brands were undercutting on price. PepsiCo wanted Tropicana to look premium, modern, worthy of its price point. And they were about to pursue that goal at the worst possible moment. January 2009, the Great Recession. Unemployment climbing, consumer confidence collapsing. Shoppers were anxious, clinging to familiar routines. This was the single worst moment to make people uncertain about their morning orange juice. So who did PepsiCo trust to pull it off?
It's almost impossible to define who Peter Arnell is.
Peter Arnell did my first book. He has a great background in architectural history, and he reads everything. He knows classical music, and he's a great photographer. He takes wonderful pictures.
Nobody does design engineering better than Peter Arnell.
Peter Arnell, born in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, he started his career as an architecture intern, then co-founded his branding agency in the early 1980s and built it into one of the most talked about agencies in America. The Arnell Group's work for DKNY, Reebok, Pepsi, Chrysler, and Donna Karan made him, as Newsweek once called him, one of the great brand impresarios of our age. He had this genuine gift for making brands feel cultural rather than commercial. He was also, by most accounts, nearly impossible to be around. A 2009 Newsweek profile documented a management style that included humiliating employees in front of clients, making them drop down and do push-ups as punishment.
No, God!
A former business associate described him as having this remarkable capacity to be both the most intoxicating character, lovable, brilliant, seductively intellectual, and then turn on a dime and be staggeringly cruel. That detail matters, not as gossip, but because that kind of environment makes honest feedback impossible. Nobody tells the emperor he has no clothes when the emperor makes people do push-ups in front of clients. When PepsiCo handed Arnell the Tropicana redesign, his instinct wasn't to talk to consumers, it wasn't to walk supermarket aisles, it was to go to Europe. Yes, Arnell's first move upon receiving the assignment was to embark on what Business Week described as a 5-week world tour of trendy design houses to seek inspiration. Arnell wasn't designing for other Americans, he was designing for other designers. And what he came back with was about to go down in history. Arnell had a clear vision. Stop showing the outside of the orange. Show the juice itself. Shift the focus from brand iconography to product purity. 100% orange, pure and natural, front and center. In his mind, the old logo was a crutch. The new design would be sophisticated, minimal, letting the product speak for itself. It was the kind of thinking that sounds compelling in a boardroom presentation, but it had one fatal flaw. The people buying the juice every morning weren't in that boardroom. Here's what they replaced. The original Tropicana carton, the orange with the straw. The bold horizontal logo you could read from 6 feet away. Warm, fruit-forward orange tones. Decades of instant recognition. Here's what they replaced it with. A plain glass of orange juice across the side of the carton, generic enough that any competitor could have used it. The Tropicana wordmark rotated vertically, reduced in size, and pushed to the side edge where practically no one would notice it. The copy, 100% orange, pure and natural, was given more visual prominence than the brand name itself. Warm orange tones replaced by white space and muted colors. Minimal. Clean, completely forgettable. And the color-coded system that had let shoppers grab their specific variant without reading? All lids were now orange. Gone. The one innovation Arnell seemed genuinely proud of was a squeeze cap shaped like a small orange, designed to suggest the act of squeezing fresh juice. At the January 2009 press conference, Arnell explained his creative philosophy.
Of course, squeeze also maintains a certain level of, I guess, power when it comes to this notion emotionally about what squeeze means, like my squeeze or give me a squeeze or the notion of a hug.
Right. Brand Trust, a research firm that had done actual strategy work with Tropicana back in 2005, had explicitly warned against exactly this kind of redesign. They understood what the packaging meant to consumers on an emotional, unconscious level. Their guidance essentially said, do not do this. PepsiCo proceeded with the new Tropicana design anyways. On January 8, 2009, every grocery store in America was about to give its verdict. New cartons hit shelves. Full nationwide rollout. Every Tropicana Pure Premium variant switched simultaneously. No staggered testing. No regional soft launch. All in. The complaints began within days. Letters, emails, phone calls to consumer hotlines, posts across Facebook and the early blogosphere. The negative opinions expressed by consumers include generic-looking, cheap-looking, not eye-catching. Some even said it looks like a urine sample. One shopper wrote to the company, "Do any of these package design people actually shop for orange juice? Because I do, and the new cartons stink." One blogger called Arnell the Bernie Madoff of brands. A particularly cutting comparison given that Madoff's Ponzi scheme had collapsed just 2 weeks earlier in December 2008. By mid-February, just 5 weeks in, Tropicana Pure Premium sales had dropped 20% in unit sales, 19% in dollar sales. Roughly $30 million in revenue, gone. Meanwhile, Tropicana's main competitors, Minute Maid and Florida's Natural, posted double-digit growth. Consumers didn't stop buying orange juice, they just stopped buying Tropicana. Let me tell you why. The orange with straw had been doing an invisible job for decades, one that nobody at PepsiCo had thought to quantify before removing it. Shoppers in a grocery aisle aren't consciously evaluating products, they're on autopilot. If you're buying Tropicana, you're not stopping to read the label, you just recognize it. Brain researchers call it System 1 thinking, unconscious, split-second pattern recognition. The orange, the straw, the bold lettering, your brain processes it in under a second and your hand reaches out. When that symbol disappeared, replaced by a plain glass of juice that any brand could have used, that recognition process broke. Shoppers literally couldn't find the product on shelves anymore, so they grabbed whatever their eyes landed on next, which was Minute Maid. The sales data was devastating. Now came the decision nobody at PepsiCo wanted to make. 46 days after launch, PepsiCo literally folded. On February 23, 2009, Tropicana North America President Neil Campbell admitted the failure. We underestimated the deep emotional bond they had with the original packaging. What we didn't get was the passion this very loyal, small group of consumers have. Those consumers are very important to us, so we responded. The phrase that quietly condemns them is, very loyal small group. A 20% sales collapse is not a small group. A 20% sales collapse is a full customer revolt. By March 2009, the orange with straw was back on shelves. Total cost of the experiment? Over $50 million. Combining the $35 million campaign investment, roughly $30 million in lost sales, and the additional costs of pulling and replacing the packaging nationwide. Even as his design was being pulled from every shelf in America, Peter Arnell refused to admit defeat. When reporters reached him after the reversion was announced, he responded, "I'm glad Tropicana is getting this kind of attention." The attention Tropicana was getting included a competitor windfall and $50 million in losses. But sure, the fallout wasn't just measured in dollars. It was measured in reputations, and it was just getting started. The term the Tropicana effect entered marketing vocabulary almost immediately. It became shorthand for a specific failure, a redesign so radical it destroys the visual assets consumers depend on for recognition. Marketing teams now cite it as justification for incremental evolution over dramatic overhauls. The case became standard curriculum at Harvard Business School, Northwestern's Kellogg School, and MBA programs worldwide. A defining example of what happens when a company mistakes its packaging for a fashion statement. For Peter Arnell personally, the Tropicana disaster was the beginning of the end. By February 2011, Omnicom fired him from the agency he had founded. And by March 2013, the Arnell Group shut down entirely, ending more than 3 decades in business. And get this, in July 2024, 15 years after one of the most documented branding disasters in history, Tropicana did it again. A new bottle redesign reduced capacity from 52 to 46 ounces, changed the shape, and triggered another consumer revolt. Sales dropped 8.3% in July, 10.9% in August, 19% by October. The lesson wasn't institutionalized. The memory didn't survive the leadership changes. And the brand paid for it again. There's a reason this case is still taught in business schools. It's not really about orange juice. The orange with straw was never just branding. It was a recognition system, a morning ritual, a visual promise that said, "This is the product you trust, the one that's been on the kitchen table since you were a kid." Neil Campbell was right about the emotional bond, but that lesson cost $50 million to learn. What Arnell designed was packaging that impressed other designers. Elegant, minimal, award-worthy in theory, and completely useless to the humans navigating a crowded grocery aisle on a Sunday morning with 3 kids and a shopping list. They didn't get a memo about the creative philosophy. They just couldn't find their juice. And they bought Minute Maid instead. That's the Tropicana story. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and check out our next episode. 1984, 3 elderly women, 1 tiny burger patty, and 3 words that ended up in a presidential debate and made Wendy's $700 million richer.